Should we go, Mary? All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the December Lunch and Learn program on celebrations throughout our community. I'm Robin Schmidt, President of the League of Women Voters of the La Crosse area. I want to thank you for joining us for this uplifting and educational program. Our Lunch and Learn programs are just one way to stay engaged with the League and with our community. We encourage you to check out our website for more opportunities to stay connected and be informed. The calendar on our website includes both League and community events that you may be interested in, and our Ways to Engage webpage offers even more options for staying connected. Discussion groups, book club, and our Observer Corps are just some of the ways you can keep up on what's happening in the greater La Crosse area. In addition, a link to the recording of this program and other programs is also available on our website at the Programs and Events tab. Today's program will start with a brief legal update from Ellen France, and then we'll turn it over to our guest speakers. Ellen, what can you share with us?
Okay, well, this isn't happy holiday news, unfortunately. Many of you may have seen the article or information on our Wisconsin Supreme Court and how they basically ruled in favor of more conservative issues. What that means is, as they go forward to accept plans for redistricting, they are not going to consider partisan redistricting or planning districts so they have more of one party versus the other party. And they also are going to favor plans that have minimal changes, which means that 10 years ago, all of the changes that were made significantly and in a mostly secret way, as people recall, are going to be the template that they build on for redistricting. So that's not good news for people who are in favor of changing how we redistrict. It pretty much keeps it the way it is, with maybe some very small, minimal changes to tally up numbers in the different districts. The other thing, of course, that's been in the news is former Justice Gableman's investigation and how that's rolling, mostly in secret, as it turns out. The most recent article was from, I don't pronounce her name, Brene, one of our Wisconsin legislators who's on the Wisconsin Elections Commission, and came out, I think yesterday, saying we should just stop this or get it over as soon as we can because it's hurting all voters. Everybody's going to have a sense of it. This system doesn't work and why should I vote? So that's, but it's still proceeding. I don't remember the date that they were going to be in court to require, if there was a date scheduled, to require the mayors of Green Bay and Madison to come sit at a deposition, but that's one thing out there that's kind of pending. Although I heard the mayor of Madison speak and she said, we've been in contact with their lawyers. We've done what they wanted us to do. They just have to, you know, we're okay. And of course, that issue is the one about the outside money that came in to support elections, the presidential election a year ago, and what they did with that money and whatever. So the Wisconsin Election Commissions has already decided they do not see that as a legitimate issue. As they're traveling through findings made by the legislative group that did an audit, and they're working through that. So that's kind of, we're kind of in a mess, kind of, because it's not resolved. Hopefully it'll get resolved soon, and with the conclusion that Wisconsin's pretty clean. We do pretty well for voting and getting people to vote, et cetera. If you might want to tune in a month from now, less one day, because it'll be on Monday, the 10th of January, we'll have Ginny Dinkmeyer and Megan Wolf, who's the administrator of the Wisconsin Elections Commission, on our program that day. So I think that'll be a very interesting and timely program. Have we learned? Are there problems we should solve? What have we learned by going through this election and the process that's followed so far? So tune in then. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen. I failed to mention before we turned it over to you that if anyone does have questions for you or any of our other panelists, to please use the question box at the bottom of your screen, and we'll be monitoring for questions. And at the end of the program, we'll allow some time for anyone who has questions to be answered. I want to remind everyone that the League of Women Voters, a nonpartisan political organization, does encourage the informed and active participation of citizens in government. We work to increase understanding of major public policy issues and influences public policy through education and advocacy. We're political, but we do not support or oppose any political party or candidate. So for almost 2 years, we've been challenged with things like a global pandemic, increasing political divisiveness, and community stresses. We brought you programs on the criminal justice management system, policing, and homelessness. But today we're going to take a break from these challenging issues so that we can come together and share and celebrate holiday traditions from various cultures within our community. Before I introduce our honored speakers, I want to take a minute to reflect on our earliest winter celebration, Winter Solstice, which is going to be happening next week. Winter solstice, as you know, is the shortest day and the longest night of the year, and it occurs usually between December 20th and December 23rd, depending on the year. Cultures around the world have long held feasts and celebrations around winter solstice using common symbols of fire and light. Some reports suggest that winter solstice was observed as early as the Stone Age, beginning about 10,200 BC. I also want to note that many celebrations incorporate plants and trees that remain green throughout the year. Ancient peoples hung evergreen boughs over their doors and windows, and in some countries it was believed that evergreens would keep away witches, ghosts, evil spirits, and illness. While many today may not use evergreen decorations for the same reason, there's something special about the spell and visual of greenery during the darkest days of the year. So I'm grateful that our speakers have taken time today to share with us traditions and celebrations that occur in our community, including Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Hmong New Year, and Latinx Christmas traditions. I believe that understanding different cultural celebrations unites us as a people and helps us expand our understanding and acceptance of those who may differ from us. Our first speaker who will be presenting today is Rabbi Brian Serle. Rabbi Brian has been the rabbi at the Congregation of Sons of Abraham in La Crosse since 2019. He's a native of New Jersey and has lived many years in both Milwaukee and the Twin Cities. Rabbi Brian has taught at both Viterbo University and at UW La Crosse. He enjoys hiking, kayaking, and long bike rides. He also loves leading others in song and prayer and appreciates his interfaith work here in La Crosse. Zelda Moore currently resides in Waukesha with her family. Zelda lived in La Crosse for 12 years and received her Master's of Science degree from UW La Crosse in 1998. She currently works as a fiber artist, designing memory quilts and handbags. She and her family have been celebrating Kwanzaa for more than 25 years and are committed to observing the principles of Kwanzaa year-round. Tony Yang was born in Laos, raised in a refugee camp, and moved to America in 1987. He's the president of the Hmong Cultural and Community Agency, which was formed in 1982. The Hmong Cultural and Community Agency's mission is to build on the strength of cultural diversity through tradition, training, and education, to build appreciation of one another and to recognize that our similarities outweigh our differences. And by working together, we create a healthy and strong community. Mr. Yang lives in La Crosse. Last, Marta Martinez is a retired teacher from Uruguay, South America, and is joining us from Uruguay. Our first international speaker, I'm proud to say. Thank you so much for joining us. She was a teacher in Uruguay for 32.5 years. 14 years ago, when she retired, she moved to La Crosse, got married, and started a new life. Now she and her husband work together in a family business. In addition, Marta volunteers with the Coulee Region Immigration Task Force, Centro Latino, and the La Crosse Friends of International Students. Again, thank you all of our speakers for joining us. We will go ahead and ask Rabbi Brian, the forum is yours. We welcome you and thank you for your presentation.
Thank you so much, Robin. It's great to be here. Happy Hmong New Year, Happy Kwanzaa, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Feliz Navidad, and Feliz Año Nuevo. I think I covered almost everybody today. It's true that Hanukkah shares some of the same characteristics that you mentioned at this time of year by our other faith communities, such as Christmas and Kwanzaa and the Hmong New Year. There's no question that when darkness falls so early, what is it, like 4 o'clock here in La Crosse, and it lasts much longer, it wouldn't hurt to have a little extra light in our homes and in our neighborhoods at this time of year. Hanukkah is also a celebration of survival of a people against overwhelming odds. Hanukkah also celebrates the right of a people to worship their own God in their own way. And I'm going to share. Could go up here. And so our story begins in 168 BCE. In the year 168, the Syrian king Antiochus sent his soldiers to the city of Jerusalem. The Syrians desecrated the Holy Temple, the holiest place for Jews. He also abolished Judaism, outlawed the observation of the Sabbath, and also the festivals, and many other Jewish rites. The altars and idols were set up for the worship of Greek gods, and he offered Jews just two options: conversion to their religion or death. So you can see Hanukkah is also very much about a person's right to practice her religion freely. A Jewish resistance movement led by the priestly family known as the Maccabees developed against the cruelty of this regime. Judah Maccabee became the military leader of the resistance, and though he was outnumbered, his forces miraculously won 2 battles, driving the Syrians out of Jerusalem. According to the legend, when the Maccabees entered the temple, they found that it had been profaned with Greek idols and statues, and they immediately relit the eternal light. But there was only enough oil light to last for 1 day, only 1 jar of oil. It would take 8 days to make new olive oil that was suitable for burning. Miraculously, the single jar of oil burned for 8 whole days. So based on that, the rabbi said, let's celebrate, and celebrate for a full 8 days. So I thought I'd share by bringing the menorah in and lighting the candles. This is at the end of the holiday, and there are 8 candles. And just so we don't burn our fingers, we have a helper candle at the top. And get it to go. There we go. And we use that to light the other candles. And so, like I said, the 8 days not just represents a force against the darkness, but also because there were 8 days that this miracle lasted. Oh, I did it right. There we go. Going back to our slides. Now, some people don't want to take the chance of burning something in their house, so they will get an electric menorah. I got this one at Walmart on Mormon Coulee. So they are available everywhere. So it's nice to have if you're worried about candles. Now in Israel, it's a common practice to light your menorah and put it outside your house in a glass case so that all your neighbors can see. And they also use long burning oil. It may last much of the night. So it's great to see the cities all lit up on these nights, Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, and other cities. Now, we also want to make sure we use things that have a lot of oil in them. So one of those, of course, would be the potato pancake, latkes. Anybody who's had fried potatoes knows how good they are. And at our Hanukkah celebration just last week, here at Sons of Abraham on Main Street, we consumed over 300 latkes. So the big controversy is, what do people like to put on their latkes? They put sour cream or applesauce. What do you like to put on your fried potatoes? So that was a big issue. And the answer seemed to be applesauce. Big winner. The distant second was sour cream. Some people requested ketchup. We told them this is not McDonald's hash browns. So, but that was a pretty popular thing. The custom of eating fried foods also extends to sufganiyot, which is Hebrew for jelly donuts. They're also deep fried. It's very popular Israeli custom for Hanukkah, and it's becoming even more popular here in the U.S. While we ate 300 latkes last weekend, we ate over 50 of these jelly donuts. So high carb weekend. Another extremely popular Hanukkah tradition is the spinning of dreidels and playing the dreidel game. The dreidel is a German word for something that turns like a top. And there are 4 letters, as you can see on the side of the dreidel. Each one requires that you do a different thing. Put a chocolate coin in, take a coin out, and the kids have a great time playing this dreidel game. Now, even more importantly is the singing of songs. All Jewish celebrations require singing of a lot of songs, but we really like to use the ones that during Hanukkah that bring a lot of light and happiness and joy to the season. So I'm going to put a song up here that many of you know, and I'll lead it. And whether you're muted or not, you can certainly sing along to this famous song by Peter Yarrow of Peter, Paul, and Mary, called Light One Candle. Light one candle for the Maccabee children, with thanks that their light didn't hide. Light one candle for the pain they endured when their right to exist was denied. Light one candle for the terrible sacrifice justice and freedom demand. And light one candle for the wisdom to know that the peacemaker's kind is at hand. Don't let the light go out. It's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out. Let it shine through our love and our tears. Light one candle for the strength that we need to never become our own foe. Light one candle for those who are suffering a pain they learned so long ago. Light one candle for all we believe in, that anger not tear us apart. Light one candle to bind us together with peace as a song in our heart. Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our love and our tears. What is the memory that's valued so highly that we keep alive in that flame? What's the commitment to those who have died? We cry out they've not died in vain. We've come this far, always believing that justice will somehow prevail. And this is a burden, this is a promise, and this is why we will not fail. Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our love and our tears. Don't let the light go out, don't let the light go out, don't let the light go out. Thank you for letting me share that, and happy Hanukkah, everyone.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Brian. That was wonderful. And you know, I have to say, as you're talking about those latkes, I kind of like applesauce and sour cream. You know, like a bite of each. I think, you know, like it's a tie for me. So thank you again. Okay, so our next speaker is Zelda. Zelda, if you could share with us information about Kwanzaa and how you celebrate and the meanings. We are so thankful that you're here. Take it away.
Can you hear me okay? Mary?
Yes, yes.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for having me. So I will share with you our celebration of Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa was created in 1966 by Dr. Malana Karenga. And it was created not to substitute for Christmas, but to enhance African-American culture so that we can learn more about ourselves and be proud of ourselves. So my family started celebrating Kwanzaa more than 25 years ago when we lived in Crosse. We attended our first Kwanzaa celebration at UWL, actually sponsored by the Office of Multicultural Student Services. And we had a 2-year-old son, Jahi, at the time, living in, of course, a predominantly white culture. We wanted him to know his culture, African-American culture, and to be proud of that culture. So we wanted to celebrate Kwanzaa. So you see my table here, and I will tell you everything that's on my table because that's the first part of celebrating Kwanzaa, is to designate a spot in your home and set up all of the items that you need to celebrate Kwanzaa. So to begin, you start by having a mat on your table, an mkeka, and that could be anything more than a woven mat or even a piece of cloth. The 2 pieces of cloth that I have under here are actually cloths that are more than 25 years old that I got when I lived in La Crosse. You have a kanara, which is the candle holder, and then you have 7 candles, the imshu sabat. You have 3 red candles, 3 green candles, and 1 black candle. So the colors of Kwanzaa are red, black, and green. Red for the blood shed by African-American people, black for the skin of African-American people, and green for the continent of Africa where we originated. You're going to have a bowl of fruit because Kwanzaa means first harvest, first fruits. In your bowl of fruits, you're going to have corn. Generally, corn represents each child. We only have 1 child. So I always thought that 1 corn was a little skimpy. So I put 3 corns, 1 for each of us, me, my husband, and my son. Next, you're going to have a plant because of course we're celebrating growth. This plant that I always put on our table is very special to us. It was given to us by a lady we first met when we moved to La Crosse, Wisconsin. So this Christmas cactus plant dates back to 1991 when I had no green thumb, and somehow I've been able to keep this plant alive, knock on wood. You're also going to have a kiko cha umoja, which is the unity cup. And then you're going to have other memorabilia that designates African-American culture. You're also going to have books, or you're going to have different things that designate African-American culture, things that you can learn about African-American culture. So I've had all of these cards laminated with famous African-American people or influential African-American people. I also have lots of books on Kwanzaa. There's tons of books, and of course now we're online, so you can get lots of things online as well. So when you're celebrating Kwanzaa, there are 7 principles that you're going to celebrate. You'll light 1 candle for each day. It begins on December 26th. It goes to January 1st. Each day designates a principle, and each candle you're going to light for that principle. So the first principle of Kwanzaa is umoja, which is unity. And that's unity within your family, unity within your community, unity within your culture. The second principle is kujichagulia, which is self-determination. So that's how you define yourself, how you see yourself, how you represent yourself. The third principle is ujima, which is collective work and responsibility, how we're going to build and maintain our community together. The fourth principle is ujama, which is cooperative economics, supporting Black businesses. The fifth principle is nia, which is purpose. Of course, what's your purpose in life? What's your purpose within your family and your community? The sixth principle, which is my favorite, which is creativity, because I'm a fiber artist, of course, so creative bone there. And the seventh principle is imani, faith, and to maintain your faith in yourself, in your culture, your community. And so with each of these, you, depending on who you're celebrating with, we begin by lighting our first red candle for umoja. And then we will move on to our green candle for kujichagulia, and then back to red, green, and then we leave our Black candle for our last principle, which is Imani. One of the things that we do to practice our Kwanzaa principles throughout the year, with Emoja, one of the things that we started when our son was young, because we wanted to celebrate unity within our family, we eat dinner together every single night, the same time. You can just clockwork us. And people would just stop by because they knew the Moores were eating dinner at 6 p.m. every day, Monday through Friday. So that was one of the ways that we celebrated throughout the year. With Kujichagilia, one of the things that we thought was important in self-determination was sitting on lots of different boards, because we wanted that African-American voice to be heard throughout the year and throughout our community. With Ujima, one of the things that we wanted to do with collective work and responsibilities, we volunteer quite often in a lot of different areas, a lot of different things. And it's not necessarily volunteering just for African-American things. One of the things we thought was important as well was to have our son come and volunteer with us. So now he even volunteers himself as an adult. He's 29 now. With Ujima, one of the one of the things that we do with cooperative economics, of course, is support Black businesses. And we do this quite often. Now we live in the Waukesha area, and we do this quite often in the Milwaukee area. But if you wanted to support a Black business, you can definitely support mine, See Marie Design, visit my Etsy shop, a little plug there. With Nia, with purpose, of course, we practice our purpose, we live our purpose daily, or we attempt to live our purpose daily and remind ourselves what our purpose is. With Kuumba, one of the things that we do is creativity. Now, when you're celebrating Kwanzaa, one of the things that's actually suggested and preferred, instead of buying things, which you see, I have a purchased Kanara and a purchased Kiko Cha Umoja. One of the things I've done in the past is I've created my Kanara. And just simple ways that you can do. My son and I have woven our mkeka, our mat. We've woven it out of construction paper in the past. I've sewn my mats, my tablecloths, out of cloth that I've purchased. So that's very much encouraged, is to do things that's natural. The last one is Imani, and of course, celebrating your faith. One of the ways we do this as well, I said earlier, we don't, Kwanzaa was not created to take the place of Christmas, but to learn, to teach and to learn and to bring pride to African American culture. My family, we celebrate Christmas and we celebrate Kwanzaa, of course, because both are very much a part of who we are and a part of our traditions and our culture. So we maintain our faith, of course, by attending church and being active members in our church. So I want to show you a little bit. When you're celebrating Kwanzaa, you have guests that come to your home. The first greeting that you give them is Habarigani, which means what's the news? The response then is whatever the principle of the day is. So we're going to say that we're celebrating our first principle of the day, which is Umoja. So everybody unmute yourself, because I want this to be really loud. So unmute. And when I say you're a guest in my home, we're celebrating Kwanzaa, I'm going to say Habarigani. You're going to respond back Umoja. Ready? Habarigani.
Umoja.
Awesome. I think we could be a little louder than that, right? Habarigani.
Umoja.
Awesome. Happy Kwanzaa, everyone. Happy holidays. And thank you so much for allowing me and my family to be a part of this. We live, we believe, we celebrate Kwanzaa year round. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Zelda. That was really informative and a pleasure to see. I love all the visuals here, so that was really helpful. All right, so our next speaker is Tony Yang. We would love to hear about the Hmong New Year. Tony, we'll let you take it away, and thank you for joining us.
Okay, well, thank you so much for having me on today. I know it's holiday seasons, and I know that all the things that are going on, you know, it's really a perfect time to really talk about what's going on in all of our community. And so With that, again, my name is Tony Yang, and I'm the president of the Hmong Cultural Center. I've been under the weather the last couple of days, so if I'm coughing in the middle of the presentation, please excuse me. So with that, I have a PowerPoint presentation which I like to show and go through with you guys. So I'm gonna do that. Excuse me. Can you all see here?
Yes.
Oh, there, excuse me. Okay, so to start us with the talk of Hmong New Year, if you look at this PowerPoint slide here, this basically represents Hmong New Year's and Hmong traditions. And so Hmong New Year is really a very important holiday in the Hmong community. And like back in Northern Laos, there's only one holiday, and that is Hmong New Year. And because Hmong people are so busy 24/7, 12 months in a year, we don't really get time to be with our families or friends and, to be with people in the community. So we really value Hmong New Year, which is really a time that was set aside for Hmong people to have some time with their families and their friends and the community. So again, before I talked about Hmong New Year, I want people to maybe learn a little bit about who Hmong people are. So Hmong is an ethnic minority from Northern Laos, and Hmong people helped the United States during the Vietnam War and the United States Secret War in Laos from 1960 to 1975. And here it's a map of Laos. For those of you that might not be familiar with Laos, Laos is a little teeny tiny landlocked country in Southeast Asia. So you got Laos in the middle of Vietnam, China to the top, Myanmar and to the west, and Thailand and Cambodia all to the south. So it's a very tiny country. So when I talked about Hmong people from Northern Laos, so the lighter area is the country of Laos. So if you draw a pencil right through here, and we talked about Northern Laos is up here. And so this is where Hmong people came from, Northern Laos, which is border to North Vietnam. So after the war ended in 1975, right, Hmong were granted asylum to come to the United States, not as immigrants, but as refugees. And so, many Hmong people came to this country as refugees. So when we talked about Hmong culture and Hmong New Year, right, so they go hand in hand. So what are some characteristics of Hmong cultures and Hmong New Year? Well, you can't talk about Hmong tradition and Hmong New Year without talking about Hmong families, right? Family is an important part of our culture. And we rely a lot on our families for support in times of crisis and for other things. Like back in Laos, we don't have social services. We don't have bank, we don't have schools, we don't have hospitals. So we basically rely on our families to give us whatever we need to be successful. And a huge part of Hmong culture and Hmong tradition is clan. So clans are basically Hmong last name. So in the Hmong society, we have 18 last names. And so, for example, my name is Tony Yang. So I am from the Yang clan. And so we have 18 clans in the Hmong society. So the other thing about the clan is that you cannot marry within your own clan. And you have 17 other clans to choose from. So clan is a huge part of Hmong community. And so clan is basically the social connections of Hmong people. And so you belong to your clan. And so they support you through culture and through other events. Also, part of Hmong traditions of Hmong New Year is this feeling of community, right? So we live in villages back in Northern Laos, right? Villages So your village is your community. And also all the villages around your village is also part of your community. And so people do things with their own community. And then I guess the more beautiful thing about Hmong tradition is food, right? Just like in any other cultures. You cannot talk about Hmong traditions and Hmong New Year without having food. And so Hmong food, it's been evolving, but I would say that during Hmong New Year celebrations, some of the best foods are grandma's homemade, food. And so everybody talked about grandma's homemade food, and that's just like any other culture. And so food is a huge part of Hmong culture. So now I wanted to spend more time talking about Hmong New Year. So as you can see in these photos right here, right? So we got a ball tossing photo right here. We got dancers, Hmong young teenagers dance. And you also, have teenager posting for photos. You got music and entertainments, and you got all kinds of stuff going on. So what is Hmong New Year? So Hmong New Year is a very important holiday for the Hmong community. New Year is usually celebrated after the harvest season, right around the end of November and early December. During the Hmong New Year, each family performs soul calling, which is called Hmoob in Hmong, for the entire family, right? Because Hmong people travel through rivers, through the mountains, through the jungles to get to their farm, to come home. And so they spend many days at the gardens, at the farm. And so Hmong people feel that, as you travel at night during the day, you might be frightened, you might be lonely. And so your souls are not within your body. And so your souls are wandering for the whole 12 months. And so during the New Year, it's really a time to do soul calling so that, you can actually call people's soul back to be in touch with their body so that they can be healthy for the New Year. Families gather to make rice cake. So I heard Rabbi talked about donuts and potato cakes, right? So in the Hmong community, during the New Year, Hmong families gather to make rice cake. And so, you make however many your family wanted. Let's say if you have a large family, you might make 40, 50 to 100 rice cake for you to eat throughout the whole New Year, okay? And people also prepare meals. And so when you talked about Hmong New Year, so Hmong New Year literally translate into eat 30 in the Hmong language. And eat 30 means that families supposed to prepare 30 dishes of food to be shared within their families, their extended families, their cousins, their neighbors. And so during the Hmong New Year, it's the only time that Hmong people will prepare more than 3 dishes to share, right? So for a normal meal, Hmong people don't have more than 3 dishes because, again, Hmong people are from very poor community in northern Laos, and so they don't have a lot of food. But during the New Year, each family is supposed to prepare 30 dishes to share with the whole community. Also, Hmong people wear the traditional outfits. And as you can see, the different outfits Hmong people wear to the New Year. It is quite fascinating nowadays in compared to many years ago in northern Laos. Like today's Hmong clothing has evolved. Like I say, like it's been evolving, and it's evolving for the better. You can see back in the early 60s and to the late 70s, Hmong clothing are either black and white. But in today's Hmong clothing, you can see, a lot of colorful patterns and designs that were put on Hmong clothing. You can see the neck piece, you can see the earrings, you can see the rings, you can see the quite belts around their waist, and all kinds of colorful, patterns that Hmong people put into making Hmong clothes. So one of the things that it's required for all families is that you must wear your Hmong outfits to celebrate Hmong New Year. And that is a tradition that has been passed down for generations to generations. Hmong New Year has folk music. Again, we talked about this photo right here with Hmong young men playing the keng instrument. So it has music, entertainment, dancing, singing, sports, and a lot of food. So Hmong people have sports activity like top spinning and all kinds of games during Hmong New Year. New Year brings family and friends together. This tradition is also very popular for young men and women to ball toss, like this photo right here shows, so that, it's really an opportunity for single people to really find their mates. Again, Hmong people are so busy that they don't have time for dating. They don't have time to see other people. And so New Year is really a time for people to come together and hopefully find their soulmates if they're ready to get married. So this is Hmong New Year. Now, as I mentioned, Hmong traditions and Hmong New Year go along with Hmong foods. Hmong tradition has been passed down from generations to generation for thousands of years, and it has evolved, but the changes are for the benefit of the Hmong society. Hmong traditions represent Hmong pride, civilization, freedoms, solidarity, and dignity. And that goes true for Hmong New Year. So Hmong tradition is basically Hmong New Year. And so Hmong New Year is really a celebration of Hmong pride, Hmong civilization as a people, and the freedom that we have, for our community and for us, and the freedom and the opportunity that we're giving to us to work hard and to be successful, and to the dignity of the Hmong people. Again, as I mentioned, Hmong people love their food. And rice, if you don't know already, rice is a staple food in the Hmong community. And most Hmong people prepare their food in mild spicy. So we don't have a lot of spicy food, but some of our food can be mild and spicy. Children love to cook at an early age, especially young women. Hmong people love to eat and share their foods. So during Hmong New Year celebrations, if you happen to go to a Hmong house and they offer you food, you have to take some. That's that is an etiquette that was taught in the Hmong culture, that when you share food with other people, you expect them to eat, not everything, but eat some. And so, Hmong people also believe that just like any other culture, the food brings people together. And that's really the core values in the Hmong culture is that through sharing food, being with families, friends, neighbor, and your community, it's what's make us better. And, we just believe that, when we get together, even not during New Year, during Hmong celebration, if you ever been to a Hmong celebration, whether it's Hmong funeral, Hmong wedding, or, Hmong graduation party, there are a lot of food. And so before COVID-19, it's buffet style, right? So you can choose whatever you want. But because of COVID-19, I know, things has changed. And so that is a little bit about Hmong traditions and Hmong New Year. And these are just my sources. And so I like to say that due to COVID-19, we have not had a Hmong New Year for the last 2 years, but we're looking forward to Hmong New Year in 2022. So the La Crosse County Infrastructure Committee just approved the Hmong New Year for 2022 to be held on September 24th and 25th in 2022 at Veterans Memorial Park. And so we'll have flyers out, and we'll be inviting communities and people to come and join us. So with that, I just like to say, as we get closer to holidays, Nhar Rong Hyong Chia, or Happy New Year's to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was really informative, and we'll have to make sure that we put that those dates on our league calendar on our website so that we can share that information with others in the community. But thank you so much. Again, and our last speaker is Marta Martinez, coming from Uruguay. And Marta, you're going to talk a little bit about Latinx Christmas traditions, and we are very excited to hear what you have to say. And thank you again for joining us.
Thank you very much for permitting me to do this. I didn't prepare any slides, anything, but only I want to talk about our traditions, and is about my country, because I'm here now, and I said, well, what to talk about another country? I have to talk about Uruguay. Okay, I don't know, maybe somebody doesn't know where it is located. Uruguay is a little country in South America, southeast South America, in between two big countries like Argentina and Brazil. My country is the same size than Wisconsin state, exactly the same size. And we are only 3,444,000 people in here. Okay. Christmas in Uruguay is lived with enormous warmth, which is not only measured by degrees, and also how friends and family get together, and they are not intimidated by obstacles or distances. First of all, we know that for Catholic, Christmas is very important holiday, since the birth of Jesus is celebrated. It's for that reason that Christmas Eve here in Uruguay, many of us gather in a church or in a neighborhood chapel to celebrate the birth of Jesus. Young and older people, okay, and kids also. We are going to the church. Not everybody, but so many people, okay? And we are united by prayers with the joys of music, guitars, drums, and Christmas songs, and so many things that permit us to renew our faith and our hope to have a better year and the next one. Okay. Okay. When we are leaving the church, we are going to some house. Sometimes my house, for example. Sometimes my daughter, my son house, and we get together to have a dinner, Christmas Eve dinner. And we set up a table with desserts and main dishes, many of them traditional from our country. But it's something like you have to know, it's very different. The Christmas here in Uruguay, when it's hot, today is almost it's 80 degrees Fahrenheit in here. And almost every time Christmas is the hot day, like a 96, 97, 100. But doesn't matter the temperature. We use some sweet food that we eat in United States, for example, in Christmas, like sweet breads and with dry fruits with a lot of calories, and chewy candies with a lot of calories also. But we have another food, special food that are traditionals in here, like vinaigrette tongue, barbecue lamb, or roasted piglet, potatoes and carrot salad with mayonnaise, pastries with different fillings, like we have some of them are with cooked spinach, with chicken, with ham, or with ham and cheese. Everybody, more than one family get together in Christmas Eve, and we agree before the day, we agree what every family will bring, okay? At midnight, we are awake midnight, and everybody is going to the street, yeah? And we began an extensive round of greetings with the families and friends that are in the house, But later we extend this to the neighborhood, and we cross the street and we go to say, to hug people in front of the house or next to the house or the another side of the house is wonderful. Everyone, family, friends, neighbors, we join at that time at midnight and in the same greeting. Feliz Navidad or Merry Christmas for you and there. Every family at midnight lights up an amazing display of fireworks. They buy a little quantity, but another family has so many fireworks that fill the sky with color and joy. It's wonderful. You can stay over there looking at the fireworks for 10 minutes, 20 minutes. It's wonderful. But while that is happening outside the house, somebody from the family went inside and put all the Christmas present under the Christmas tree. It's different than United States because we have the Christmas tree over there and all the presents are before Christmas Eve under the tree. And here, no, we put over there, somebody put the Christmas tree, the Christmas gift under the tree. And when the fireworks finish, everybody enter in the house looking for the gift. Overall, the kids are very eager to get the present that Santa left for them under the tree. And that all the presents are open on Christmas Eve. We don't wait until the morning of Christmas Day. And after we finish in the house, the kids can go to another houses because we are, for example, for give some information. My daughter lives 3 blocks and a half from my house, and my son 1 block and a half. The kids with one adult are leaving the house and going to another looking for the present, and they come back home with so many quantity of present. It's wonderful, really wonderful. What happened later? Like 2 p.m., the young people, like 19, 20, 21, and more, okay? They are going to a different Christmas party that people organize in the city and stay there for the whole night. Okay, what happened with the adults? We stay in the house, but we dance over there. We listen to the music. We share stories and anecdotes from another years of the life before. Very good. What happened during the night? Almost everybody stay up until 4 or 5 a.m. Not my husband, because he is going with me to the family reunion, but they said, don't say anything. After say happy, Feliz Navidad, I want to leave the meeting. And he left, but I stayed with my family until 3, 4, and sometimes 5 a.m. The next day is Christmas, and Christmas Day, we get together again, sometimes going to the beach, sometimes going to the country, and we have a Christmas lunch together with special dishes that we prepare for that occasion. Then the calm and enjoyment prevail during Christmas Day, and sometimes well, so almost always we try to visit another friend that we didn't see before. Despite the different, very different climate, because Uruguay is, here is a hot summer during the Christmas time, Uruguayans have adapted several Nordic details, like shops and houses are decorated with so many lights and sleds, and the Christmas tree are covered with artificial snow. And I have something to tell about this. When I just moved to La Crosse, and when I have over there my first snow, and I was amazed because I saw the trees and and I saw everything over there. And I remember to get very warm and go to the street with my camera and take pictures for the Christmas tree pines over there. Okay, and I sent to my family and my friend in Uruguay, and I said, look at this. It's the pines look like our Christmas tree, because in Uruguay they sell, the shops sell some little bags with something white, and we put over the Christmas tree. It looks like with the snow. It's very funny, and this situation. Well, another thing that we adapted is from another culture is Santa outfit, because even though it's very hot in here, you can see people with, the most of them with Santa hat, but some of them wear all also the suit of Santa. Okay, is wonderful celebration Christmas in Uruguay, and the most important and more different with the United States is that the family is together. Over there, we have one little time in Christmas Eve, or one little time in Christmas Day. But here we stay the whole time with the family together. And for me, the family is the most important thing in my life. Well, to finish, I want to thank this group that invited me to tell how we celebrate this important holiday in my country. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us. I'm not, Mary, I'm not seeing any specific questions for anyone, but I guess I just wanted to make a note that it's so interesting to me, some of the commonalities with each of the speakers that kind of went around music, food, community, family, faith, and traditions. And so I just think it's so important for us as a people, no matter what community you're in, to have the ability to celebrate these things and to have a time, kind of a time of reflection, where you can think about how fortunate we are with so many things, even when times can be bad. You know, the fact that we have family and traditions and celebrations is really important. So I guess, Marta, I have a question for you though, as I'm chatting here. You talked a little bit about having a lot of sweets. Is there a particular sweet that you like that is like your family tradition, something that your kids or other family members expect you to make for them?
Okay, I'm gonna.
Marta, I think you need to unmute, or Mary needs to unmute you.
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. The sweet that we make and here with my grandkids is Christmas cookies. And we decorate them with some sprinkles, you said, sprinkles. My husband is here listening what I said. Okay, but we prepare something. I said today, I was talking with Bill about that, and we prepare at home Christmas bread and another little, and I said English pudding, and Bill said, no, this is, doesn't not exist, but it's something different, but it's a cake, little cake, a long one with dry fruits inside and pieces of nuts, and or sometimes we put some, we make some with chocolate, a little pieces of chocolate inside, chocolate chips inside, and well, and because it's summer, we used to make as for dessert torta helada, like a
frozen cake.
Frozen
or
cake.
Ice cream cake.
Ice cream cake. Yeah, and really everybody likes. The problem with the food, the sweet food in Christmas is a lot of calories that you have, because the Christmas sweet bread is good for United States. It's good for countries when it's very cold and we need a lot of calories in the body. Not for here, but it's a tradition and we eat it.
Oh, thank you.
Robin, I have a couple questions.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. We have a question here, for Zelda. What language is the words that are used in Kwanzaa?
Zelda, you'll need to unmute yourself.
Yeah, sorry. I can't unmute you.
Okay, there we are. There we are. So the language of Kwanzaa is Swahili, and it's the language of a lot of villages in West Africa.
Thank you. All right, now, thank you very much. I have a question for Rabbi Brian. Yes. Okay, actually, just a comment. When you said that this is a song that everybody knows, I immediately thought of Adam Sandler in the Hanukkah song. So this was one I had never heard before. So
oh, okay.
thank you for sharing that. I bet you know the Hanukkah song too.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not a very flattering song, and
I thought it, well, of course.
But it's a fun song, but it has no connection to our faith, unfortunately.
Probably not. Okay, so my serious question is, and I may have missed this, is Hanukkah always celebrated on the same days? Like Christmas is the 25th. So is Hanukkah, or
it always falls, remember, the Jewish calendar is a lunar calendar based on the moon and not on the solar calendar. So it always falls on the 25th of the Hebrew month of Kislev, which this year fell on November 28th. And the year before, it fell on December 15th. So it always ranges between Thanksgiving and Christmas, which here in America is a good thing. So if you have interfaith families, they often celebrate. They have a tree and also a Hanukkah menorah. So it's kind of nice to have. But like I said, we talked about it before. It's the time of the solstice, the time of the darkest days. So I'm sure that it goes back to ancient times, early the Bronze Age, or even beyond that, where people, wanted to scare away the darkness and have light in their lives. So,
thank you. I have a question for Tony Ying, please. The clothing is worn at the Hmong New Year is so distinctive. Can you kind of just say, is there any meaning to like the different hats that are worn and to necklaces and belts?
Yes, Mary. There are differences in Hmong clothing because we have Hmong subgroups. And so Hmong subgroups are basically regional. So for example, if you're from the northern, if you're from the south, if you're from the east or the west, you have a little bit of a different clothing designs that you put on to your clothing. So for example, I can give you one example, like Black Hmong, both male and female, they wear pants. And so white Hmong, so you see that the ladies wear a white skirt, so you can tell that's white Hmong. Some green Hmong are very colorful Hmong clothing that they wear. So they wear a lot of color, like mostly red, blue, and green. And so that's why we call them the green Hmong. And so you also have the like striped Hmong. So striped Hmong has like stripes that go down the sleeves of their hands. So that gives you some idea. So there are differences in Hmong clothing depending on where you're from. But in America today, you can't tell the difference because people have money. And so you can buy whatever you like. You don't have to be a white Hmong to wear a white Hmong clothing. You can wear a striped Hmong clothing if you like the outfits and you have the money to buy it. But, there are differences.
Thank you.
Mary, can I ask just one other question maybe for each of the panelists? And I'm just curious from your own perspective, how welcoming do you think we being La Crosse, Wisconsin, the United States, however you want to define it, to your holiday traditions? Do you feel like that they're understood, that you're part of this greater community, or do you think there's still work to be done for that? Zelda, do you want to go ahead?
Yes, actually for my family, that's one of the times when we were first introduced to Kwanzaa, was through the University of Wisconsin, La Crosse. We moved there in 1991, moved from Mississippi. We didn't know anyone, and we began volunteering through the Office of Multicultural Student Services, and that was February when we moved. And that December, they had a Kwanzaa. They brought in a speaker to do a presentation and do the entire Kwanzaa program. And we've been practicing and celebrating Kwanzaa ever since. So yes, La Crosse was very welcoming.
Wonderful. I would ask that to Tony, how about you? Do you feel like there's a significant Hmong population here? Do you feel like it's that your celebrations and your culture is understood and the community celebrates with you?
Yes, I would say that for the most part, like whether it's the La Crosse community or the state of Wisconsin or the United States, we feel like when we first came here, we came here and the community opened their arms and help us transition to where we are today. As far as the Hmong New Year celebration, I think people has been very supportive of the Hmong New Year celebration. The other thing that people did not know is that, or people don't know even today, is that the Hmong New Year is not only for Hmong people, because we have the Hmong New Year. And so people usually think that it is only for Hmong people, but the Hmong New Year is for the whole community. So so every time that I go to meetings or I go to different places, people usually say, Tony, so is Hmong New Year for Hmong people? I say, no. It is the Hmong New Year, but it's for everyone. So so the Hmong community is very fortunate to have been live in this country, and we have been very supportive throughout the United States, and so we're very fortunate. And so just make sure that people understand that Hmong New Year is not only for Hmong people but for the whole community.
Thank you. How about Rabbi Brian? How do you feel?
I have to tell you, this is my third year of celebrating. What's that? This is my third year of celebrating Hanukkah here in La Crosse, and I love it how people are They invite us, for example, the Congregational Church, I think, they have a preschool and kindergarten with 60 kids. They invited me over there to bring them all dreidels and chocolate coins and sing Hanukkah songs and light the candle. I had such a good time. English Lutheran invited me over to talk about Hanukkah. It's wonderful to be an ambassador for our faith, but the love that's shown among all the interfaith groups here is just so wonderful. And I have to say, we don't get that in Milwaukee or the Twin Cities. It's a smaller community. People know each other. There's a lot of love going around. And with all the hate that's going on elsewhere, it's good to have the love to drive away some of that hate.
Awesome. And Marta, do you feel the same way? Do you feel like this is, you know, that the celebrations that you see in Uruguay are as welcoming as they are here in the U.S.? Or? I think you're, yeah.
Yes, yes. The celebration here is very different than United States because I remember one time the first plan when I went there with my husband was stay one Christmas in Uruguay and the next there in United States. And we start with this 14 years ago. What we realized that when we stay in United States, we were alone the most of the time. A little short time with the family, 1 of the 2 days and no more. And was my husband, we decide, no, we are going to Uruguay and we can stay with the family the 2 days. And
the week.
The week said real, it's true. But well, when we stay there, we enjoy the time with the family. Everything is different, but the first, I felt very shocked for the differences, but now I feel better and I'm adapting to the situation, and I think it's becoming better and better.
I wonder if it's too cold to be outside at 2 in the morning with your neighbors up here.
Oh, yeah. I know that. Yeah, I know that. But it's not only this, to be with the family, to play together, to, I don't know, inside could be, but yeah, it's different the weather. For this reason, we can do so many things here that we cannot do over there. But well.
Mary, are there any other questions? No, all right. Well, I want to really, again, give a really personal thank you to each of the panelists for sharing your holiday celebrations with us. I know it's just incredibly uplifting for me as well as others, and inspiring to see such warmth and love in each of your traditions. I'd like to thank our audience for participating in this program, and I want to invite you to join us for our next Lunch and Learn. Our next Lunch and Learn is going to be on Monday, January 10th, not Tuesday, because of the speaker availability. But we're going to hear from, as Ellen had said, County Clerk Jenny Dankmeyer and Wisconsin Election Commission Administrator Megan Wolf to talk about lessons that we've learned from our past elections. And I know that that'll be very enlightening and maybe inspirational too. I don't know, we'll see. So thank everyone. I want to wish everyone a really very happy holiday season, however you celebrate. I hope that you find joy and love and peace, and wish you all the best for 2022. And this concludes our Lunch and Learn, and we hope to see you next year. Stay healthy and be safe.
Thank you. See ya.
Thank you. Feliz Navidad.
Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad.
Feliz Navidad.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.